How's everybody doing? And welcome to SSN, or as we affectionately refer to this channel around here as the Sergeant Saunders Network. I'm back after a long hiatus. Steve Dallas here. I will be your host as we venture forward with the Sergeant Saunders Hour. Now, without further ado, hop in, buckle up, and let's get ready to roll. How's everybody doing? Steve Dallas here. It's been a while. Took a long time off. I'm back, and I started a new channel. You may see me around on some of my other channels. I do some other stuff with baseball and stuff, and games, video games. And so this new channel is going to hit different topics. It's going to include entertainment, uh, news, politics, things of the day, and that nature. And we're gonna have some fun with this channel. We're gonna have. I started using Streamyard now, and so you can bring guests on. So we're gonna have guests on periodically, and we're gonna see where it goes. And so I was telling some of my friends, they were asking me, when are you gonna come back online? You see, here's the old channel. If you could see it, if I hold it up, there was the old channel. I got my coffee. So I said, I don't know. And then so they talked me into it. I'm back. And then I came up with the Sergeant Saunders Network, which eventually will be the Sergeant Saunders Hour as we move from video to live shows. Basically, I like Vic Morrow. So, and Sergeant Saunders was my handle in Call of Duty, which I played many years. Computer version. I do have played the Xbox or the PS4 version, but I like the computer version the best. So that was my call sign. So you may have run into me way back years ago. We were in a clan and stuff, all that kind of stuff with the games. It was a good game. And so that's about it. So that's how we came up with the name. That's where we're going to go with that. And if we jump right in here, we're going to start video episode 3001. We're going to start the countdown at 1 for this one, but I've done over 3,000 videos on some of my other channels. So basically, like many of you, I've been captivated by the trial that's been ongoing the past few weeks. We're going into week 4, and the trial is going to wrap up this week. And I don't know. I just got really fascinated about it. I'm retired. I have time. People are like, why are you watching that stuff? And what I found is that most people my age um, don't really know much about Johnny, or they don't really care. But it is a really interesting story. And I've been watching it, and I wanted to do some, slides or videos. I'm going to bring everybody up to date in the next few days because I think what's going to happen with the outcome of this trial, since I've been following, is I think Johnny's going to win. And, it's going to, if you've been watching, what's been going on. If you haven't been watching, I've been telling friends and stuff about it. And I'm going to make videos so you can kind of get up to date. But the first thing when I start talking to people, I notice, they don't really recall who Johnny Depp is, or they don't really care. I know that sounds crazy, but even myself, when I sat down to do this. So this first episode is just really a basic intro into who Johnny Depp is and Amber Heard. So myself, when I sat down and I started to think, well, what do I know about Johnny Depp? Okay, so he was the first one we jumped into, and these are the things that I remember growing up. He's about 4 or 5 years older than me, so we're in the same age group. So that's why I got the happy birthday there. So birthdays around the same, things I remember is that River Phoenix, Joaquin Phoenix's brother, used to hang out with him back in the early 90s. And Johnny owned the Viper Room, and, the River Phoenix OD'd there. So I remember that growing up. And then the next big thing that I remember growing up, you guys are going to laugh, but I did watch 21 Jump Street. And it was a pretty good show. I know he doesn't really like that because it brought him fame, but I guess they kind of branded him, and he wanted to get away from that. And I guess it would have typecast him for the rest of his life. And then in the background there, I put that over not many people remember, and I actually didn't remember years ago. I remembered afterwards, but he was in Nightmare on Elm Street. That was his first movie, and he had a very small part. And it was when I grew up. It was a kind of like a high school thing. We all went and watched it and stuff, and it was kind of big in my time. And years later, I didn't even realize he was in it. Then, as he got famous, I was like, oh yeah, he was in it. So that's something I remember. And then here is really interesting. I do think he's a very good actor. Um, I don't think his Pirates, I mean, he does a great job of it, but I don't think that's his best work. The Pirates kind of stuff I kind of tapered off because I'm not really wasn't into them. The first few were really, really good and entertaining, and like most of these have kids, and it took them to see it, and they enjoyed it. But I like them like the Ed Wood show when he does stuff like that, and when he was Donnie Brasco. And I put the Oscar there because when I started to research this, things you do know, things you don't know. I just assumed the movies he's acted in, he had to have an Oscar, and he has never won an Oscar. And for his part, he said he doesn't really want to win one because then it kind of, I guess, typecast you or whatever. But it would be, I think it would be a big thing for a type of actor, that I think the skill that he had, and I say had in the past tense, maybe he still has it, who knows? Because we're going to talk about all that as it's been unfolding the last 3 weeks. But I think that from the standpoint of his acting, I think he's in a, my personal opinion before this, and as I've spoken to other people, they think he's just very eccentric, and then as we go forward and learn more about him, I got some things here, and my head's blocking this one, but it's rich as what, and high as So when I think of him, I think of those two things. I remember back in the day, if we look back at 2018, they said he was worth about 400 million. If we look to 2020 and today, he's worth about 200 million because he did get into some trouble, financially, which we're going to go over in the next few videos as part of this trial. But I do remember, like back in before 2018, I do remember the article on the top right, my right, your left. It says at one point he was worth 650 million, and he lost the funds, which we're going to go into in a different video, because I think it'll be a better breakdown, and it'll have more emphasis when parts of the trial come out, and we can compare how he lost the money to things that are happening in the trial and things that Depp's team, Heard's team tried to do to beat him, and some stuff that they dragged up or people they dragged up. So, I do remember vaguely that he lost money, and everybody, that I spoke to said, oh, yeah, he's really rich. People still think he's rich and don't realize he ran into trouble. And I find most people my age in their, mid 40s or above don't really care. They haven't been watching the trial. The younger people, I have kids that are younger, they've been watching it, and, they know more about it, about him. And then, I this part I put up, his kids, because they're part of the trial, which we're going to talk about. And he had two kids. He had Lily Rose, and then he has John Christopher or Jack Depp III, and that was from he never married her, but that was from his girlfriend after Kate Moss, which was Vanessa Paradis, and so I just threw that in there because the kids are going to come up as we go forward. And personally, I didn't know how many kids, he had, until I researched it, but I knew he had kids. And then I showed a picture there that he was a family man. And then, like I said, when he broke up with Kate Moss, he really, I guess, kind of grew up. He had the kids, and he stayed with Vanessa for a very long time until he met Amber, which we're going to talk about in a second. And in this, I threw in there because, they did bring this up in the trial, and a lot of people forgot this. Even I forgot that he did this. And at the time he did this, and I'm not trying to get into political or people are going to say, I heard people like online, not about me, but other people, say, oh, if you like Trump, or because this is about Trump, this particular article, or, oh, you can't understand Johnny. And that's not true, because we're going to break it down because, I think most of us didn't really pay attention to him. Because also you saw the other thing I had, high as F, right? And rich as F, right? So in my, just what I recall about him, I just thought he was a drug addict, so, and then when he did this, I felt bad for him, kind of like sad because when he did it, I'm going to play a video. You can hear what he said, um, and it just showed like I just went at the time when it happened. I kind of wasn't like so much mad at him. I just kind of blew him off. I was like, yeah, this guy has no clue. And I think that no matter which side of the spectrum you're on, this stuff has no place because somebody that does command presence with people or can influence them, and he does have a lot of influence over people, shouldn't use that platform to say anything like he said. He says Johnny Depp threatens Trump with assassination, then apologizes. So, regardless of who it is, what president it is, nobody should say that. Because nowadays, most of us see what's going on. There are people that sometimes act on this stuff. So I think that just from that perspective, again, not getting into the whole political thing, why I didn't like him or what, it had nothing to do with that. I just thought he was stupid, when he said that. But this is what he actually said.
Can we bring Trump here? No, just to... No, you've misunderstood completely.
Just to give him some love and rehabilitation.
I think he needs help.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be in the press. It'll be horrible. But I like that you're all a part of it. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? I want to clarify, I'm not an actor. I lie for a living.
So I threw that in there because it's important. It does come up in the trial. It doesn't really hurt him in the trial, but they did use it to try to hurt him, the other side. And we're going to go into that as we get into, delve deep. But I want, when you get into this, I want people to see, who he is, because most of the people I spoke to, especially like the older people, like my father, he's like, why are you watching that crap, And then he's like, he points out that, you remember he said that? And I was like, yeah, but, so basically where I'm going with this, in the past before this trial, I really had no interest in him, but I've been riveted, watching it because you're gonna see why shortly at the end of this, why I'm so into it and why I think he's gonna win and why I think he should win. And it has nothing to do with politics or my politics or who he like the Trump thing. And then there's Amber Heard. So, I gotta be honest with you, this is what I think of Amber Heard up until this point. I didn't really know much about her until this trial started. I mean, I knew he had gone out with somebody and married somebody like a lot younger. She's like 35 or 36. But I had no idea who she was until the trial started. And then I looked and I was like, I didn't even realize that she was in Aquaman. See, the younger ones laugh. How could you not know, like my kids and stuff? But, as we get older and you're working and stuff, you don't pay attention to, the movies as much. And lately, I got to be honest with you, the movies aren't made as well, I don't think, as they were in the past. So me personally, I haven't really been paying attention, but I had no idea who she was. I knew that this coming up, I knew that, and again, I should have switched it, but it's the crickets, right? Nobody, and it's not just me. People I asked, they're like, Amber, who? Nobody knows. and I bring that up again because when we go into our next couple of videos, that's also going to be a factor in the trial, which is going to make you laugh because nobody knows who she is. And then, so, I did watch the Rum Diaries, and I did like it because, Depp was in it, and it was kind of one of those eccentric movies that like the Ed Wood one. And so when I watched it many years ago, I didn't know she was in it. I forgot she was in it, or didn't really know who she was. But at the time, so he wasn't married to his Paredes, the mother of his children, but he was living with her for many years and had 2 kids with her. And when he made this film, she, I mean, obviously it takes 2 to tango, but she actually led him astray. We're going to go into why I think that is the trial unfolds too. And, he wound up leaving, Vanessa, and then she wound up leaving at the time. She's been, at one time she considered herself a lesbian, and she considered herself straight. And I think now she's back with a girl. We're going to go over all that because that plays up in the trial. So she was actually with someone who we're going to go into because some of her first relationships actually married to her plays a role in the trial. Which, like I said, this is just a basic intro. I want you to get into it, learn who they are, learn who the players are, and then we're going to go into why I think it's been so fascinating in the last 3 weeks. And I think when you start looking at it, because everybody I've been talking to that I told about it, they're like, that's all bull crap, or I'm not going to waste my time watching it. And they've been watching the clip, and they're like, whoa, that stuff is pretty interesting. So when I do go into this though, the big thing with me is if you've watched my old channels and stuff, and I'm religious. So the big thing with this is, you should obviously not bear false witness against someone, right? And not only that, a neighbor, but in this case, they were married, right? And so this story has so many depths to it that it's about the lying, it's about the things she's done to him, and the most important thing though is that when he goes through this, you can actually see when they're in the stand, when he speaks truthfully. You can see, like, from the heart. When she speaks, she's like acting. And for me, the whole thing's been a sham. And basically, I just think it's very
Fascinating.
as you will once we get into this. But with the whole thing, telling the truth, and the whole thing is when I first looked in and peeked in to see what the trial was about. He said when he took the stand, the whole thing is about the truth, and regardless of whether like I didn't like him because that stupid thing he said with Trump. We've all said stupid things, or the fact that I just thought he was kind of like eccentric and became like a drug addict. He really didn't bother anybody or hurt anybody. And we're going to go into that. And then when we see the things that she's done, you're going to have, you're probably going to formulate the same opinion as most people. And there has been, like, justice for Johnny has been going on for like the last, 3 or 4 years. But, like I said, I never really paid attention until the trial started. And I was like, I had nothing to do one day and I started watching it. And then, like I said, it's pretty fascinating stuff. And my dad is just like, when I told him to watch it, he's just like, tell Johnny to go.
Oh, fudge.
That's what he had to say about Johnny. And then, as I've been telling him what's going on, I think he peeked in there a little. He's trying to see what's going on. But it's actually kind of interesting the way it's playing out. And, from the perspective, if you just like, said the background in law enforcement, so that's another reason why I believe you should always tell the truth. But if you just watch from perspective of just neutrality, let's say neither side, and you just watch how the court case unfolds, I find it pretty interesting. We're going to get into all that stuff in the upcoming weeks, and so if you liked the video, then please subscribe and give it a like. And there'll be more stuff up. And like I said, each day I'm going to put up stuff to catch everybody up. I'm going to try to make the videos shorter. And this way you can get up there. So the first part I just want you to take from this video is you may have had preconceived notions of, especially if you're my age or above, who or what Johnny Depp was about. And once you start learning the facts about him, it's totally not that. It's actually, I after I watched him, I felt really bad for him because what happened was, as he became more famous, he can't really meet people, right? As more famous you are, how do you know who's genuine and who's not, right? Who's going to take advantage of you, who's not? You get all that money, right? And it seems like, he seems like a very nice guy when he talks to people, and he does a lot of nice things for people, which we're going to get into as these videos progress. But, I kind of felt bad when he was describing himself. He was like, and he said, don't feel sorry for me. Like when he, because he did make money and he is famous, but like he can't go anywhere. He, if he goes somewhere, he stays like in the hotel room. Excuse me. So that part of it, the fame aspect, I found very interesting with the fact that I'm going to show you how that played a role and what I think he got taken advantage of by Amber Heard. And each day, like I said, this is just a basic intro. I want you to go research both of them, and then you'll be, if you're into it, you'll catch up. I'm going to have actual things that have happened in the court with excerpts. Some of it's funny, some it's actually sad though, because the way this is going and the ending that I foresee, and it may go differently because we don't know what the jury's thinking, but everything that I think is going on, and we're going to present some facts to kind of back that up in the next couple of days. I think he's going to win. I think they're going to throw out her countersuit. And I think she's done in Hollywood because, she misrepresented the cause, what it was about. So what's going to happen is all those people are going to turn on her. Hollywood's going to turn her off. And it's really a shame. And I think that, I think she needs help, and I think that if she doesn't get help, if that happens, who knows? Maybe she'll do something that she shouldn't to herself. And I'm not saying she should go do that. I'm not advocating for anything like that. I'm kind of in the neutral. People are really nasty about her. I just think that it's Hollywood, man. That's how they are there. They take advantage of you and they spend your money if you're rich. So we're going to break it down in more detail. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and please subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.